Hey there, have you ever wondered how people talked to each other before phones, the internet, or even writing? How did one village warn another if danger was coming? How did tribes send messages across big mountains, forests, or deserts? The answer is simple. They used fire and smoke. Yes, long ago fire and smoke were used like today's wireless messages. It was one of the smartest ways to talk without speaking a single word. In this video, we're going back in time to see how ancient people used smoke signals and fire beacons to send important messages. It's an amazing part of history you don't want to miss. So if you're curious about how people connected in the past, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss more cool history stories. 1. Smoke and fire, the first communication tools. A long time ago, before phones, the internet, or satellites existed, people still needed to send messages to others who were far away. But how could they do that when big mountains, thick forests, or wide deserts stood in the way? The answer was simple. They looked up to the sky. People used fire and smoke as a way to communicate. It wasn't just random smoke or flickering flames. Each signal had its meaning. A small puff of smoke might mean danger, while a big cloud could mean, "Come here," or "We need help." By using just fire and smoke, they created a clever way to send messages without speaking. This simple, natural method helped them stay connected across long distances, even when there were no roads or phones. It shows how people used what they had around them to solve big problems and stay in touch. 2. Native American smoke signals. One of the smartest ways people used smoke signals was by Native American tribes. Each tribe had its own special system and rules for sending messages with smoke. It was like a secret language, where different types of smoke meant different things, depending on how urgent or important the message was. For example, a small puff of smoke could mean "everything is okay," or "come here." A tall, steady column of smoke might mean danger, or that someone needed help. Sometimes they sent 2 puffs of smoke, paused, and then sent another puff to say a meeting or a special ceremony was happening. These signals weren't made up quickly, they were carefully learned and passed down through generations. This made it possible for people to communicate even from far away across forests, rivers, and mountains. It was an amazing way to stay connected without words. 3. The Great Wall of China's fire signals. Now let's travel to ancient China. On top of the Great Wall, people came up with a smart way to send messages using fire. When enemies were coming, the soldiers on the wall would light a fire. The smoke from that fire could be seen from the next watchtower, which was often many miles away. Then those soldiers would light their fire to pass the message even further. This way the warning could travel across hundreds of miles in just a few hours. It was a fast and clever way to tell other soldiers to get ready for danger. The ancient Greeks did something similar too. They used fire to send messages from one island to another across the Aegean Sea. Isn't that amazing? People really knew how to make fire talk. 4. Fire beacons. Messages in the night. Smoke signals worked well during the day, but what about at night when it was dark? That's when people used fire beacons. These were big fires lit on high places like hills, towers, or cliffs, so they could be seen from far away. In ancient Greece, fire beacons helped warn people about enemy attacks. In parts of Europe, the Norse people, including the Vikings, used fire signals along the coast to alert nearby villages if ships or danger were coming. At night, fire wasn't just for keeping warm or giving light. It became an important way to send messages over long distances. These bright fires could quickly catch the attention of people far away and let them know something important was happening. This simple yet powerful way of communicating shows how people used what they had to stay safe and connected, even in the dark. 5. The Persian fire signals. Now let's go to ancient Persia, which is known as Iran today. The people there came up with a clever way to send messages using fire. They set up fires along roads or on hills, placing each one so it could be seen from the next. When one fire was lit, the next one would see it and light theirs too, just like passing a message from one person to another. It worked like a relay race. And the smart part? After the signal was received, they would put out the fire and light a new one to send a fresh message forward. It was a fast and simple system that didn't need any wires, just people working together and the glow of fire. 6. Fire plus sound, how Maori people communicated. Now let's travel to the beautiful Pacific Islands, especially New Zealand, where the Maori people had a clever way to send messages. They didn't just rely on fire, they also used drums to make sounds. By combining both light from the fire and the beats from the drums, they could share more detailed information. They would light fires in special patterns to send signals, and then beat the drums to explain the message further. The drums were often placed high up so their sound could travel far across the land. This smart system helped the Maori communicate about important things like war, peace, or big community gatherings. The fire and smoke gave a signal people could see from far away, while the drums added sound that could be heard even further. It was like having early messages with both pictures and sounds. Truly impressive for those times. 7. Fire as a global language. Isn't it amazing how so many different cultures, even those far apart, came up with the same idea, using fire and smoke to send messages? From the Chinese and Romans to the Norse, Native Americans, Persians, and Maori, all of them found clever ways to stay in touch using just fire. It didn't matter if they lived near mountains, by the sea, in forests, or on tall towers. Fire worked everywhere. Even though they spoke different languages, they all shared this one powerful way to communicate. Wasn't spoken out loud, but seen high in the sky. Fire truly became a language that the world understood. 8. Why fire was so powerful. Fire was a great way to communicate for several reasons. First, it can be seen from very far away, making it easy to spot. Second, it works well in nature, even in difficult or remote areas. It doesn't need any electricity or special tools to work, which makes it very reliable. Also, fire signals can be sent quickly, especially when passed along through a chain of people or places. Finally, if you know the code or pattern, the messages sent by fire are easy to understand. In many cases, using fire to send messages was even faster than sending a runner or a horse. 9. Lessons from the past. Today we have phones, Wi-Fi, and satellites that help us connect instantly with anyone, anywhere. But sometimes we forget how strong simple things can be. Long ago, people used fire and smoke signals not just to stay safe, but to learn more about the world around them. These signals helped them understand how to read the wind, control flames, and build ways to send messages over long distances. For thousands of years, this way of talking worked very well. Even now, in some emergencies, these old skills can save lives. Imagine you're lost in the wild, with no phone signal. In that situation, making a fire or sending up smoke might be your best chance to get help. These simple tools remind us that sometimes the oldest ways are still very important and useful today. 10. The power of simplicity. Here's something to think about. A small puff of smoke could mean something very important, like peace or war. Just one fire might be enough to call an army or bring a whole tribe together. These simple signals carried strong feelings: hope, fear, love, and unity. It shows us that sometimes the simplest tools can have the greatest power. Today we often believe we need more apps, faster technology, and quicker ways to connect, but the people from long ago remind us that what really matters is wisdom, working as a team, and using creativity. They showed us that even without modern tools, people found smart ways to communicate and stay united. So, maybe it's not always about having the newest or fastest technology, but about how we use what we have and how we come together as human. 11. Modern lessons from ancient fire. What can we learn from all this today? First, it's important to remember the old ways and knowledge because they might help us in times of need. Our ancestors knew a lot about nature, and we can still learn from their wisdom. Second, we should respect nature, since it teaches us many things if we take the time to watch and listen. Third, simple solutions are often very powerful, so don't ignore them just because they seem small or old-fashioned. Lastly, staying connected to our roots is important. Sometimes even something as simple as smoke can send a message if we know how to understand it. In today's busy world full of screens, noise, and fast technology, maybe we need to slow down a bit. We can use fire and smoke, not to harm, but to help us remember where we come from, to connect with others, and to share our stories in a meaningful way. Fire and smoke, they weren't just for cooking or staying warm, they were the world's first messengers. Isn't it amazing how people from different parts of the world, like Native Americans, the Chinese, Persians, and the Maori, used fire to talk over long distances? Did you ever think smoke could carry a message? Now you know their story. If you liked learning about this smart and powerful way of communication, give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends who love history, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more easy and fun stories from the past. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes even a small puff of smoke can say more than words.